This is the Nova 2, perhaps Britain's most forgotten new high-speed train. Introduced around the same time the Class 800 trains were being rolled out pretty much everywhere, this small fleet of just 12 high-speed trains is often overlooked. And that's a great shame, because with a striking livery and a warm and cozy interior, these trains actually seem very well designed on the surface. But unfortunately, there are a few design flaws with these trains that keep them from being truly great. So join me for a journey on the Nova 2 from the Scottish capital down to Manchester, as I show you what it's like on board this small fleet of high-speed trains. We begin our journey from Edinburgh's busy Waverley station. This is the main station for the Scottish capital. And it's also the second busiest station in Scotland, only to be outnumbered by the central station over in Glasgow. The station is a bit of a mess, with various staircases and overpasses taking you to many different areas of the station complex. But right in the middle of it, surrounded by platforms on both sides, is where you'll find the station's main concourse. Down by the main concourse, you will find a few convenience stores. From the main concourse you can access the travel center, where you'll find most of the station's seating. And make sure to look up to not miss the beautiful roof. As a major transportation hub, you get trains to all over the United Kingdom departing from here. The main operator at the station is ScotRail, running plenty of both local commuter services as well as intercity services across Scotland. For longer distance services across the United Kingdom, you also got the likes of LNER running the main route down to London, and cross country, doing exactly what their name suggests. However, we will be travelling on board TransPennine Express today, who operate a mostly intercity style service offering connections across the north of England and extending into Scotland. And here comes our train, operating an inbound service from Manchester Airport. And I have to say, I love the livery and the design of this train. It looks both fast, modern and elegant. This is a Class 397 train, part of the Civity platform from Spanish manufacturer CAF. The trains are capable of 125 miles per hour. These trains are also branded as Nova 2 by TransPennine Express. With our departure time approaching soon, it's time to head through to the platform. As is very common in the UK, these are protected by barriers where you will have to scan your ticket. One thing I in general like about newer British trains is they put plenty of clear destination displays on the outside of the train. TransPennine Express could definitely do a better job of cleaning their trains, which is gonna be a bit of a theme in this video. With departure time upon us, it's time for me to head on board. I'll be travelling in first class today, and my first impressions are pretty good. The onboard atmosphere seems pleasant and cozy. Seat reservations are clearly indicated by the displays above your seat. I've reserved this seat around a table for two today. Despite my initial first good impressions, I soon discovered something less great. So I decided to claim the available seat across the table instead. It happens that a seat or two gets stained from time to time, but unfortunately this is not just a fluke and part of a bigger design flaw with these trains. But we'll have to dive into that later, as our train is now departing Edinburgh.
Good afternoon folks, welcome aboard. This is the 1212 TransPennine Express service to Manchester Airport. Service out calls.
Just a couple minutes after departure, we make our first station stop, which is Haymarket. The station is the former terminus of the railway line from Glasgow, but in 1846 the line was extended through the tunnel to modern-day Waverley station. Leaving Haymarket, we'll head for the line down towards Carstairs and the border with England. So this seems like a great opportunity for us to take a look at today's route map. We are on board the 1212 Edinburgh to Manchester Airport service. Our train today will initially head southwest to join the West Coast Main Line, which will be following as far as Preston. Then our train will head east along the line to Bolton and eventually through Manchester to terminate at the airport. This is a distance of 233 miles covered in 3 hours and 32 minutes, giving the train an average speed of 78 miles per hour. Unlike first class in much of Europe, first class in the United Kingdom often comes with some form of complimentary snack, food or drink service. On this particular Transpennine Express route, the service consists of a complimentary bottle of water waiting at your seat upon boarding. In addition to this, Transpennine Express also offers a complimentary selection of light bites, as well as both alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. First class has a dedicated host who came around to take food and drink orders shortly after departure. I started by getting a Coke Zero as well as a slice of cake, which was served around the time we joined the West Coast Main Line at Carstairs. The West Coast Main Line is one of Britain's most important and busy main lines, being the backbone of train travel from London to many of the United Kingdom's largest cities. And what a beautiful day to be traveling on, especially considering I took this trip back in December. We are currently on the longest portion of the journey without stops, with the trip between Haymarket and Lockerbie scheduled to take 52 minutes. So let's use that time to take a look at the train's interior. By the vestibule you will find a luggage rack, however today it was carrying the complimentary beer. First class comes in an expected 1+2 layout, mostly with seats around a table. Unfortunately, these seats don't always quite line up with the windows, but it is great to see a wheelchair spot included in first class. It's also located next to the accessible toilet. Further down the train we have standard class. This comes in an expected 2+2 layout, with all the seats actually nicely aligning with the windows. Unfortunately, they have fitted these trains with the dreaded Fainza Sofia seats, which I've already reviewed in my GWR Class 800 video. I won't go into details here, but putting it mildly, I find these seats dreadful. At the opposite end from first class, you will find the train's large bike storage area. A smart design choice, given this train is used to access many popular routes for recreational biking, especially around Penrith and Oxenholme. And before I return to my seat, let's have a look at the toilets. I found it very interesting that the lock for the door is not actually on it, but on the wall panel besides it. But hey, if it works, it works. I found the water to be working fine, but take a look at this sink and how dirty it looks. Maybe white wasn't the right color for this. After a bit of fiddling, I did manage to get the hand dryer working. There was some paper, although somebody shredded it, and the toilet was working, so overall it's fine. But there's definitely room for improvement. And just as I return to my seat, we arrive in Lockerbie. Lockerbie Station is an interesting little anomaly. While the station is managed and maintained by ScotRail, none of ScotRail's own train services actually stop at the station, with the station instead being served by Avanti West Coast and Transpennine Express services. And after we got back up to speed, my food was ready and served at my seat. I had the pork sausage roll, which unfortunately was both very hard and dry, so my advice is to pick something else off the menu next time. And as I was finishing up my food, we're crossing over the border into England just after the junction with the line to Dumfries, here at the river. We then slow down for our first station stop in England, which is Carlisle. I've always found this station quite interesting, as it sits on quite a sharp curve, but it's not quite like York over on the East Coast Main Line. As we continue to progress south, we'll soon have to talk about the big design flaw with these trains, but as we are coming up on some of the route's best scenery, that will have to wait. As we depart from Penrith, we'll be skirting around the edges of no fewer than 3 national parks. And as you'd expect, Some of that natural beauty is very visible from the train window. I have no idea what that plane was doing, but it looked incredibly cool and I'm so happy I got it on camera for you guys to see. And if you want to post a cool moment like that from your train journey, you can use the free onboard Wi-Fi. You will need to enter your email to access the Wi-Fi, and under no circumstance are you able to use the Wi-Fi to watch pornographic material, which definitely needs to be stated on the landing page. Before our arrival into Lancaster, I ordered another can of Coke. And with our stop complete at Lancaster, I think it's finally about time we take a look at the seats. If we disregard the stains for a moment, the seats actually do look quite nice and offer a good amount of recline. The seats feature a comfortable headrest pillow and are in an ergonomic shape with a fine amount of padding, making them rather comfortable. A solid large table is also provided at every seat. And there is at least one power outlet and USB port per 2 seats, hidden under the movable armrest. The seat is actually very good. But where these trains fall short is in the color and material choices for the seat. White leather and fabric with lots of white spots are gonna make any stains much more visible than a darker fabric or black leather. So if you're gonna pick these materials for your seats, you gotta make sure you have the resources to thoroughly clean and maintain your seats frequently. To be clear, these seats probably aren't actually dirtier than other trains, but it's just so much more visible thanks to their design choices, and it's definitely not a good look for a train type that was only introduced about 5 years ago. And in general, the cleanliness is definitely something TPE could work on. Pretty much all the seats in first class were stained, the sink in the bathroom too, and the windows were also dirty. If I didn't know, I'd have a hard time believing this train is just 5 years old. However, there are also some upsides. The softer lighting, wood paneling and less clinical feel remains a big upgrade over the interior of the Class 800 trains introduced around the same time. And while the suspension on these trains is below average, it's definitely not as appalling as on the Class 800s either. We'll talk about tickets and my final thoughts on these trains after we have made our last stop before the Manchester stations, which is here in Bolton. While anytime flexible train tickets in the UK often cost a ridiculous amount of money, especially in first class. I mean, it's £203 in this case for a fully flexible first class ticket down to Manchester. TransPennine Express is one of the operators that release a fair number of cheaper advanced purchase fares. First class often starts at a slightly more reasonable £51 and as low as £23 in standard. As for the Nova 2, what could have been a fine train is unfortunately dragged down quite a bit by the overall state of the train and the horrible seats in standard class. Luckily, the far majority of these things are fixable with a deep clean and interior refurbishment. So while this train is not one I would actively avoid, it has the potential to become a train I could actively enjoy if it just received some proper care.
We'll shortly be arriving at Manchester Piccadilly. If you are leaving the train, please take a moment to check you have everything. Don't forget any bags or cases from luggage racks or under seats, and keep hold of your tickets as you'll need them when leaving this station.
And as we are now arriving at Manchester Piccadilly, which is as far as I'll be travelling today, let me know in the comments below, what do you think about the Nova 2 trains? Thank you so much for joining me on this trip. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel as I try to post a new one every Sunday. You can also follow me over on Blue Sky at intercitysimon.com. I usually post live from my travels in real time over there, so it's a great place to get a sneak peek at what videos might be coming to the channel in the future. Thanks for watching.